What if everything you've been trying to change, your career, your relationships, your finances, your confidence, even your happiness, was never the real problem? What if the greatest obstacle standing between you and the life you want isn't the world around you, but the voice inside your own head? Think about it. How many dreams have died before they were ever given a chance? Not because they were impossible, but because someone convinced themselves they weren't good enough. How many opportunities have been lost because fear spoke louder than courage? How many relationships have ended because anger reacted before wisdom could respond? And how many people spend their entire lives trying to change their circumstances without ever learning how to change themselves? Here's a truth that few people are willing to face. Your mind can become your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Every morning, millions of people wake up with the same silent battle already taking place. Before their feet even touch the floor, their minds begin racing. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? I'm already behind. I'm not smart enough. I'll start tomorrow. The battle hasn't happened in the outside world. It's happening within, and for many people, that invisible battle determines the rest of their day. They walk into work carrying yesterday's worries. They enter conversations expecting rejection. They avoid opportunities because failure feels safer than trying. Slowly, almost without noticing, they begin living inside the prison their own thoughts have built. The strange part is that the prison has no walls, no locks, no guards, only beliefs. Imagine a man standing in front of an open gate. For years, he believes it is locked. Every day he complains about being trapped. Every day he dreams of freedom. Yet he never reaches out to test the gate. One day, another traveler quietly walks over, pushes it with one hand, and its wings open effortlessly. The gate was never locked. Only the man's belief was. Many of us are living exactly like that. We tell ourselves stories. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not talented. People like me never succeed. I've failed too many times. These stories become so familiar that we mistake them for facts. But they are not facts. They are interpretations, and interpretations can change. Modern psychology calls this the power of self-talk. Every thought you repeatedly believe strengthens certain neural pathways in your brain. The more often you think the same thoughts, the easier those thoughts become to repeat. Over time, your brain begins treating familiar beliefs as reality even when they are limiting, distorted, or completely false. That is why one person sees an obstacle and gives up, while another sees the exact same obstacle and discovers an opportunity. The difference is rarely intelligence, it is perspective. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you water grows. If you constantly water fear, fear becomes stronger. If you constantly water resentment, resentment spreads like weeds. If you constantly water gratitude, courage, discipline, and wisdom, those qualities begin to take root. The challenge is that most people don't consciously choose what they water. They simply react to the news, to criticism, to failure, to comparison, to social media. Day after day, they feed anxiety without realizing it. Then they wonder why peace never seems to bloom. Imagine trying to grow a beautiful tree while pouring poison into its roots every morning. No amount of sunlight could save it. The same is true for the human mind. You cannot constantly feed yourself negativity and expect confidence to grow. You cannot fill your days with comparison and expect contentment. You cannot rehearse fear every morning and expect courage to appear when life becomes difficult. Everything begins in the mind. Long before a building rises into the sky, it exists as an idea. Long before an athlete wins a championship, victory has been imagined thousands of times. Long before a musician performs on stage, countless. Hours have been spent practicing in silence. Every masterpiece is created twice, first in the mind, then in reality. Your life follows the same principle. The quality of your external world is deeply influenced by the quality of your internal one. This is why two people can experience the same setback and walk away with completely different futures. One says, "This proves I'll never succeed." The other says, "This is teaching me how to succeed." The event is identical. The mindset is not. Centuries before modern psychology, philosophers understood this truth. They knew that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we always possess the ability to shape how we respond. That understanding became the foundation of one of history's most powerful philosophies, Stoicism. It taught that true freedom does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins when the mind becomes stronger, because a weak mind creates suffering even in comfortable circumstances. But a disciplined mind can discover peace even during hardship. The world spends billions of dollars convincing you to improve your appearance, your income, your status, and your possessions. Far fewer people remind you to improve the one thing that shapes every experience you'll ever have, your mind. Without mastering it, success becomes stressful. Wealth becomes something you fear losing. Recognition becomes something you constantly chase. Achievement becomes another addiction that never truly satisfies. But when you master your mind, success becomes meaningful instead of overwhelming. Failure becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. Criticism becomes information instead of an attack. And peace becomes something no circumstance can easily take away. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore why so many people unknowingly become prisoners of their own thinking, what ancient Stoic philosophers discovered about mastering the mind, and how timeless psychological principles can help you break free from fear, doubt, and limitation. Because before you change your career, before you change your habits, before you change your relationships, before you change your life, there is one place where every transformation must begin within your own mind. Have you ever noticed that the hardest person to convince is often yourself? A stranger can tell you that you're capable, your friends can encourage you, your family can believe in you, yet if your own mind whispers you're not enough, those voices become almost impossible to hear. That is the greatest paradox of human life. The conversation that shapes your future is rarely the one happening around you. It's the one happening inside your head. From the moment we're born, our minds begin collecting stories. Some stories empower us, others quietly imprison us. A child who is constantly encouraged may begin believing, "I can figure things out." Another child, repeatedly criticized for every mistake, may unknowingly develop a different belief. "I'm never good enough." Years pass. The child becomes an adult. The words themselves are forgotten, but the beliefs remain. Without realizing it, many people spend their entire lives acting according to conclusions they formed decades earlier. This is one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern psychology. Your brain is designed to create shortcuts. Instead of analyzing every situation from the beginning, it relies on existing beliefs to interpret reality. If you believe people cannot be trusted, you'll notice evidence that confirms it. If you believe failure defines your worth, every setback feels like proof. If you believe you're incapable, your mind will unconsciously search for reasons to stop trying. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. The mind doesn't simply observe reality, it filters reality. Imagine wearing a pair of blue-tinted glasses every day. Eventually, you stop noticing the glasses. You simply assume the entire world is blue. Our beliefs work the same way. We mistake our interpretation for reality. and because those interpretations feel familiar, we rarely question them. This is why two people can experience the exact same event and leave with completely different conclusions. One person loses a job and thinks, "My life is over." Another loses the same job and says, "Maybe this is the opportunity I've been avoiding." The event is identical. The story is different, and stories create destinies. There is an old tale about two wolves living inside every person. One wolf feeds on fear. It survives through anger, envy, pride, resentment, comparison, greed, and self-doubt. The other wolf feeds on courage. It grows stronger through patience, gratitude, discipline, compassion, wisdom, and hope. A young boy once asked an elder, "Which wolf wins?" The elder smiled and answered, "The one you feed." Simple, yet profoundly true. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you're feeding one of those wolves. Every thought repeated, every habit practiced, every emotion entertained, every excuse believed. Each one strengthens a particular version of yourself. This is why mastering the mind is not a single decision. It is a daily discipline. But there is another reason people struggle: comfort. The human brain loves familiarity. Even painful familiarity often feels safer than uncertain growth. Think about someone who dreams of starting a business. They spend years reading books, watching videos, making plans, and imagining success. Yet they never begin. Why? Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, because action introduces uncertainty, and uncertainty feels dangerous to the brain. The same thing happens in relationships. Some people remain in situations that drain their happiness for years, not because they're fulfilled, because the known pain feels less frightening than the unknown future. Comfort zones are strange places. They rarely feel comfortable. They simply feel familiar. Growth asks us to leave that familiarity behind. That is why change feels uncomfortable, not because you're doing something wrong, because your brain is entering territory it has never explored before. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense forest. Behind you lies a well-worn path. You know every stone, every tree, every turn. Ahead is an unexplored trail. The destination could be extraordinary, but you cannot see it yet. Most people turn back, not because the old road leads somewhere better, because they already know it. The mind often confuses familiarity with safety. That is one of its greatest illusions. History is filled with people who refuse to obey that illusion. Consider explorers who crossed unknown oceans, scientists who challenged accepted beliefs, inventors who were ridiculed before changing the world. None of them possessed certainty. They possessed something far more valuable: the willingness to move despite uncertainty. Fear never completely disappeared. It simply stopped making their decisions. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing wisdom over fear, action over hesitation, growth over comfort. One of their greatest teachings was simple: you become what you repeatedly practice. If you practice complaining, complaining becomes your nature. If you practice gratitude, gratitude becomes effortless. If you practice courage in small moments, courage appears naturally in larger ones. Character isn't built during extraordinary moments. It is built during ordinary ones. The conversations no one hears, the choices no one applauds, the habits no one notices. That is where transformation begins. There is another invisible trap that keeps people from mastering their minds: comparison. Never before in history have we had such constant access to other people's lives. Within seconds, we can see someone's vacation, promotion, relationship, fitness journey, or success story. But what we're seeing isn't reality. It's a carefully selected highlight reel. Meanwhile, we're comparing it to our behind-the-scenes struggles. No one uploads their sleepless nights, their failures, their fears, their moments of doubt. Yet we measure our entire lives against their brightest moments. It's an impossible comparison, and impossible comparisons always create unnecessary suffering. The Stoics would ask a different question. Instead of comparing yourself with another person, compare yourself with the person you were yesterday. Did you become a little wiser? A little calmer? A little more disciplined? That is progress worth celebrating, because the only competition that truly matters is the one taking place within yourself. Mastering your mind doesn't require becoming perfect. It requires becoming aware. Aware of the stories you tell yourself, aware of the fears that quietly guide your decisions, aware of the habits shaping your character. Once awareness begins, freedom follows, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. And the moment you begin observing your own mind instead of automatically believing everything it tells, you take the first real step toward mastering it. But awareness alone is not enough. To truly understand what self-mastery looks like, we must turn to a man who governed one of the greatest empires in history while fighting an even greater battle within himself. A Roman emperor whose greatest victory was never over an enemy, but over his own thoughts. His name was Marcus Aurelius. Imagine standing at the center of the most powerful empire on earth. Every sunrise brings another difficult decision. Generals wait for your commands. Citizens look to you for hope. Politicians compete for your attention. Enemies gather at the borders. A deadly plague spreads across the land, and somewhere, hidden behind polite smiles, people are plotting against you. This was not the life of an ordinary man. It was the daily reality of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor often remembered as history's greatest Stoic. Most people believe that power brings peace. Marcus Aurelius discovered the opposite. Power magnifies whatever already exists inside you. If your mind is ruled by fear, power creates greater fear. If your mind is ruled by pride, power creates arrogance. If your mind is ruled by anger, power makes that anger dangerous. But if your mind is ruled by wisdom, power becomes service, strength becomes compassion, leadership becomes responsibility. Marcus understood that no title could rescue a person from an undisciplined mind. Every night, after long days of military campaigns, political conflict, and personal hardship, he wrote private reflections to himself. He wasn't writing for fame. He never intended anyone else to read his words. He was training his own mind. Imagine that for a moment, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire wasn't trying to impress the world. He was trying to improve himself. His journal wasn't filled with complaints about difficult people. It wasn't filled with excuses. It wasn't filled with blame. Instead, it was filled with reminders. Reminders to stay patient. Reminders to remain humble. Reminders to control his reactions instead of demanding control over life. One idea appeared again and again. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These words have survived nearly 2,000 years because they reveal something timeless. Most suffering begins when we confuse influence with control. Think about how much of your day is spent worrying about things beyond your control. You worry about what people think of you. You worry about tomorrow's problems before they arrive. You replay yesterday's mistakes as though thinking about them long enough will somehow change them. You wish difficult people would become kinder. You wish the past had unfolded differently. You wish life were always fair, but no amount of wishing changes reality. Instead, it steals your attention from the only place where real power exists. The present moment, imagine a skilled archer preparing to release an arrow. The archer carefully chooses the bow, adjusts their stance, controls their breathing, focuses on the target. Everything within their control receives complete attention. Then the arrow is released. From that moment forward, many things are no longer theirs. To command, a sudden gust of wind, unexpected rain. The movement of the target. The archer cannot chase the arrow through the sky, trying to force it toward success. Their responsibility ended with the quality of the shot. Life works the same way. You control your effort. You control your preparation. You control your honesty, discipline, and character. You do not control every outcome. When we become attached only to results, disappointment becomes inevitable. But when we become committed to excellence in our actions, peace becomes possible regardless of the outcome. This was the foundation of Marcus Aurelius' strength. He focused relentlessly on what belonged to him: his thoughts, his choices, his character, everything. Else, he learned to accept with dignity. That acceptance wasn't weakness, it was freedom. There is a story told about an old blacksmith whose work was admired throughout the kingdom. A young apprentice asked him, "Master, how do you create blades that never break?" The blacksmith smiled and handed the apprentice a piece of raw steel. "This metal enters my workshop hard and stubborn. I place it into the fire. I strike it with a hammer. I cool it. Then I return it to the fire." The apprentice looked confused. "So the fire makes it strong?" The blacksmith shook his head. "No, the fire reveals its weaknesses. The hammer removes them, so it can become what it was meant to be. Human character is forged in exactly the same way. Difficulty is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Failure exposes weakness. Criticism reveals insecurity. Loss uncovers attachment. Pressure exposes impatience. Without hardship, many of our greatest flaws remain hidden. The Stoics understood that obstacles are not interruptions to life, they are part of life. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that every obstacle contains an opportunity to practice virtue. If someone insults you, practice patience. If life becomes unfair, practice courage. If success arrives, practice humility. If failure comes, practice resilience. Every event becomes training. Every challenge becomes a classroom. Suddenly, life stops happening to you. It starts working for you. Modern psychology reaches a remarkably similar conclusion. Researchers studying resilience have found that mentally strong people do not experience fewer difficulties than everyone else. They simply interpret those difficulties differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single question transforms suffering into growth. Think back to your own life. The moments that shaped you most were probably not the easiest ones. Perhaps it was rejection that taught you self-respect, failure that taught you persistence, loneliness that taught you independence, loss that taught you gratitude. The very experiences you once wished to avoid may have become the foundation of the person you are today. Marcus Aurelius believed this was no accident. He believed that every hardship offered a choice: become bitter or become better. One path creates resentment, the other creates wisdom, and that choice belongs to you every single day. This is why mastering your mind isn't about eliminating negative thoughts. It is about refusing to let those thoughts become your master. Fear may knock at your door. Anger may visit your mind. Doubt may whisper in your ear. But none of them deserve permanent residence unless you invite them to stay. The strongest fortress in ancient Rome was not built from stone alone. It was built through discipline, preparation, and constant maintenance. Your mind is no different. Every day you are strengthening it or weakening it. Every thought you repeat lays another brick. Every habit you practice reinforces the foundation. Every reaction either protects your inner world or leaves its gates wide open. Marcus Aurelius mastered an empire because he first learned to master himself, and that same opportunity exists for every one of us, not through titles, not through wealth, not through power, but through the quiet daily discipline of governing our own minds. Because the greatest battlefield has never been outside you, it has always been within, and understanding that battlefield is the beginning of true freedom. But how do we actually win that invisible war? To answer that, we must step beyond history and into the hidden battlefield every human being carries inside the battlefield of the mind itself. If someone asked you where the greatest battle of your life would take place, you might imagine a courtroom, a battlefield, a business meeting, a hospital room, or perhaps a difficult conversation that changed everything. But the greatest battle you will ever fight has no audience, no applause, no headlines. It takes place in complete silence inside your own mind. Every single day, thousands of thoughts pass through your consciousness. Some encourage you, some warn you, some inspire you, and others quietly convince you to surrender before you've even begun. The strange thing is that your mind doesn't always tell you the truth. It tells you stories. Sometimes those stories are helpful, sometimes they're completely false. Yet because they sound like your own voice, you believe them without question. Imagine you're walking through an old castle. As you enter, you notice hundreds of rooms. One room is filled with memories of success, another contains painful failures, another stores moments of embarrassment, another holds dreams you've never pursued. Now imagine that every day, without realizing it, you keep opening the same room, the room labeled fear. Eventually, you know every corner of it, every shadow, every excuse. It begins to feel like home, not because it's comfortable, but because it's familiar. Meanwhile, rooms labeled courage, hope, gratitude, and possibility remain, locked, covered in dust, simply because you rarely visit them. This is how the human mind works. Whatever you repeatedly think becomes mentally familiar, and whatever becomes familiar starts to feel true. Modern neuroscience explains this through neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to strengthen the neural pathways we use most often. Every repeated thought makes that pathway easier to travel again. Thoughts become habits, habits become patterns, patterns begin shaping personality. In other words, the life you experience. Tomorrow is being built by the thoughts you practice today. That realization is both terrifying and empowering. Terrifying because it means your thoughts have incredible influence. Empowering because it means you are not permanently trapped by them. There is an ancient story about a sculptor who was asked how he created such magnificent statues from rough blocks of marble. The sculptor smiled and replied, "I never create the masterpiece. I simply remove everything that doesn't belong." That answer confused his students, until one day they watched him work. Hour after hour, he chipped away at the stone. He didn't add beauty, he revealed it. Your mind works much the same way. Mastering your mind isn't about becoming someone entirely new. It's about removing what doesn't belong, the fear that keeps telling you you're not enough, the resentment you've carried for years, the constant need to compare yourself with others, the limiting beliefs you accepted without questioning. Beneath all of that, your authentic self has been waiting patiently. The challenge is that most people identify with every thought that enters their minds. They think, "I had an anxious thought, therefore I must be an anxious person. I doubted myself, therefore I must be incapable. I felt afraid, therefore I shouldn't move forward." But thoughts are not commands, they are visitors. You have the power to decide which ones deserve to stay. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves float past on the water. Some are green, some are brown, some move quickly, others drift slowly. Would you jump into the river and grab every single leaf? Of course not. You simply watch them pass. Thoughts can be treated the same way. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion requires immediate action. Sometimes the wisest response is simply to observe without reacting. This is one of the greatest lessons shared by both Stoic philosophy and modern psychology. Between a thought and an action lies a choice. And within that choice lives your freedom. There is another story that beautifully illustrates this truth. A young student once asked an old philosopher, "Master, why do I keep losing battles inside my own mind?" The philosopher handed him a glass filled with muddy water. "Look inside," he said. The student frowned. "I can't see anything." The philosopher placed the glass on the table. "Now wait." Several minutes passed. Slowly, the dirt settled to the bottom. The water became perfectly clear. "What changed?" the philosopher asked. "The water became still," the student replied. The old man smiled. "No, the water was always capable of becoming clear. It simply needed you to stop shaking it." How often do we shake our own minds? We replay arguments long after they've ended. We imagine disasters that haven't happened. We compare ourselves with strangers. We criticize ourselves more harshly than we would ever criticize someone we love. Then we wonder why clarity never comes. Sometimes the solution isn't finding more answers, it's creating more stillness. The Stoics practiced this through reflection, not because they wanted to escape reality, but because they wanted to understand it. Every evening they examined their own thoughts. Where did I lose my patience today? What fear controlled my decisions? What did I do well? How can I improve tomorrow? Notice something remarkable. Their attention wasn't focused on changing other people. It was focused on improving themselves. That is where real transformation begins. There is a saying often attributed to ancient wisdom: "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." Many people spend their lives trying to control everyone around them, their co-workers, their partners, their children, their circumstances. But the more they chase control over others, the less control they have over themselves. The truly wise person reverses that equation. They stop asking, "How can I make the world behave differently?" Instead, they ask, "How can I become calmer regardless of what the world does?" That question changes everything, because once you stop depending on perfect circumstances to feel at peace, you become incredibly difficult to defeat. People may criticize you, you remain grounded. Life may surprise you, you adapt. Plans may fail, you learn. Fear may appear, but it no longer decides your future. That is what mental mastery looks like. Not the absence of negative thoughts, but the presence of unwavering awareness. The awareness that you are not every thought you think. You are the one observing those thoughts. And once you understand that difference, you begin reclaiming a freedom that has always belonged to you. But awareness alone is not enough. A strong mind is built the same way a strong body is built, through daily practice. Small disciplines repeated over time. Simple habits that quietly reshape who you become. That is where philosophy leaves the page and becomes a way of living. By now, one truth should be clear. A strong life is built upon a strong mind, not the other way around. Many people spend years searching for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mentor, the perfect strategy, or the perfect moment to finally transform their lives. But they overlook the one thing that determines whether any opportunity will succeed: the quality of the mind that receives it. Imagine handing two people the exact same map, the same destination, the same amount of time, the same resources. One person reaches the destination, the other gives up halfway. What made the difference? Not the map, the mindset. Life often works the same way. The opportunities around us matter, but our response to those opportunities matters even more. That is why the Stoics didn't merely study philosophy. They practiced it every single day, not during perfect moments, during ordinary ones, because they understood something many people forget. Your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. So how do you begin mastering your mind? Not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through quiet disciplines repeated consistently. The first habit is this: own your morning before the world does. Think about the first 10 minutes after waking up. For many people, those moments are immediately surrendered. The phone lights up, notifications appear, emails arrive, news headlines compete for attention. Before they've even taken a full breath, someone else is already shaping their thoughts. Imagine beginning differently. Wake up. Sit in silence for just a few minutes. Take a slow breath. Ask yourself, what deserves my energy today? Not everything, just what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every new day was another opportunity to practice wisdom, patience, courage, and self-control. He wasn't preparing for a perfect day. He was preparing to become a better person regardless of what the day brought. That simple shift changes everything. The second habit is one that separates disciplined minds from distracted ones. Guard your attention. Attention is your most valuable resource. Every achievement you've ever accomplished required it. Every meaningful relationship depends on it. Every dream you'll ever pursue demands it. Yet we give it away so easily. One notification, another headline, a pointless argument online, an hour of scrolling that somehow becomes 3. By the end of the day, we wonder why our minds feel exhausted. The answer is simple: because attention is like sunlight. Where it shines, growth follows. If your attention constantly feeds fear, fear grows. If it constantly feeds comparison, comparison grows. If it feeds discipline, discipline grows. Protect your attention the way a gardener protects precious seeds, because whatever receives your attention today will shape your future tomorrow. The third habit is perhaps the most transformative: separate facts from stories. Imagine receiving criticism at work. The fact is simple: someone offered criticism, but your mind quickly begins creating stories. I'm failing. I'll never be successful. Everyone must think I'm incompetent. Notice something. Only the first statement was real. Everything afterward was interpretation. The Stoics trained themselves to separate events from the stories they attached to them. That single practice prevented countless unnecessary emotional storms. The next time something difficult happens, pause and ask yourself, what actually happened? Then ask, what story am I adding? That question alone can free you from years of unnecessary suffering. The fourth habit is one that Marcus Aurelius practiced almost every evening: reflect instead of react. The Roman emperor didn't end his days by distracting himself from reality. He faced it. He reviewed his actions honestly. Where did I lose patience? Where did I allow fear to guide me? Where did I act with courage? What lesson should I carry into tomorrow? This wasn't self-criticism. It was self-education. Imagine ending every day with 5 quiet minutes of reflection, not judging yourself, simply learning. Small improvements made consistently become extraordinary transformation over time. The fifth habit may be the hardest: become comfortable with discomfort. The modern world teaches us to avoid inconvenience. If something feels difficult, quit. If it feels uncomfortable, escape. If it requires patience, find a shortcut. But every meaningful accomplishment requires temporary discomfort. Muscles grow by resisting pressure. Character grows the same way. Each time you choose discipline over convenience, your mind becomes stronger. Wake up when you promised you would. Finish the difficult conversation. Exercise even when motivation disappears. Read instead of endlessly scrolling. Choose growth over comfort again and again and again. Eventually, discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes your identity. There is an old story about a farmer during a severe drought. While others prayed only for rain, the farmer continued preparing his fields every single day. His neighbors laughed. "Why work when the ground is dry?" The farmer smiled and answered, "I'm not only preparing the land, I'm preparing myself." Weeks later, the rains finally arrived. While others rushed to begin planting, the farmer was already ready. Opportunity favors the prepared mind, not the hopeful one. The sixth habit is one many people overlook. Protect your inner dialogue. Listen carefully to the voice inside your head. Would you speak to your closest friend the way you speak to yourself? Probably not. Yet many people carry an inner critic that never rests. You're too late. You're not talented enough. Why even try? Imagine replacing that voice with something wiser. Not empty optimism, honest encouragement. This is difficult, but I can learn. I made a mistake, but mistakes teach me. Progress matters more than perfection. The words you repeat become the beliefs you live. Choose them carefully. Finally, there is one Stoic habit that ties everything together. Remember what truly matters. One day, every possession you own will belong to someone else. Every title will be forgotten. Every award will gather dust. But your character, the way you treated people, the courage you showed during hardship, the integrity you carried when no one was watching, those things become your true legacy. The Stoics reflected on mortality not to become fearful, but to become focused. When you remember that life is limited, distractions lose their power. Petty arguments no longer seem worth your energy. Seeking everyone's approval becomes exhausting instead of appealing. You begin asking better questions. Am I becoming wiser? Am I becoming kinder? Am I becoming stronger? Am I living according to my values? Because in the end, mastering your mind isn't about controlling every thought. It's about choosing which thoughts deserve your attention. It's about replacing reaction with reflection, replacing fear with courage, replacing excuses with responsibility, day after day, choice after choice, until one morning you wake up and realize something extraordinary. The person who once needed perfect circumstances to feel confident has become someone who creates confidence from within, and that is the moment your life truly begins to change. Not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you finally became stronger than the world that once controlled you. And when that happens, one final truth reveals itself. The greatest transformation isn't measured by what you've gained, it's measured by who you've become. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine that it's many years from now. The goals you've been chasing have either been achieved or left behind. The fears that once kept you awake at night have faded into distant memories. The people whose opinions once controlled your emotions no longer occupy your thoughts. Time has quietly done what time always does. It has revealed what truly mattered. Now imagine sitting on a quiet bench as the sun begins to set. The world is calm. A gentle breeze moves through the trees. For the first time in a long time, there is no urgency, no pressure, no race to win, only silence. And in that silence, you begin asking yourself one simple question: did I truly live, or did I spend my life reacting? You think back to the younger version of yourself, the one who believed happiness would arrive after the next promotion, after earning more money, after finding the perfect relationship, after gaining everyone's respect. You smile gently, not because those dreams were foolish, but because you now understand something they never taught you. The greatest transformation in your life never began when your circumstances changed. It began the moment your mind changed, because before that moment you allowed fear to decide your future. You allowed criticism to define your confidence. You allowed comparison to steal your joy. You allowed temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. You believed the world had to change before you could become peaceful. But life patiently taught you a different lesson. Peace was never waiting at the end of success. It was waiting at the beginning of self-mastery. Think about every story we've shared: the invisible prison built from limiting beliefs, the Roman emperor who ruled an empire by first learning to rule himself, the battlefield hidden inside every human mind, the daily habits that quietly transform ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Each lesson points toward the same timeless truth: you cannot consistently create a better life with the same mind that keeps destroying your peace. If your thoughts are ruled by fear, fear shapes your future. If your thoughts are ruled by resentment, resentment shapes your relationships. If your thoughts are ruled by discipline, gratitude, wisdom, and courage, those qualities begin shaping everything you touch. The world outside you is often a reflection of the world within you. This doesn't mean life will become perfect. Storms will still arrive. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still fail. Loss will still find every human being. No philosophy can remove suffering from life, but wisdom can prevent suffering from controlling your life. That is the gift of Stoicism, not an escape from reality, a stronger way to face it. Imagine two sailors caught in the same violent storm. The first curses the wind. He blames the sea. He panics with every wave. The second sailor cannot control the weather either, but he steadies his hands, adjusts the sails, trusts his training, and keeps moving forward. The storm treats both men equally. Their minds do not. Life is asking you the same question every single day. Will you fight the wind, or will you learn to sail? The answer determines far more than your success. It determines the quality of your entire life. There is an old proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. The same is true for mastering your mind. Perhaps you've spent years feeding doubt, years reacting with anger, years believing you weren't enough. That does not mean your story is finished. It simply means today is the day you begin writing a different chapter. Not tomorrow, not when life becomes easier, not when everything is finally perfect. Today, because every great transformation begins with a single decision. The decision to think differently, to respond differently, to become different. Before this journey ends, I want to leave you with one final challenge. For the next 7 days, become the guardian of your own mind. Notice every thought that weakens you. Question every belief that tells you you're incapable. Replace complaints with gratitude. Replace excuses with action. Replace fear with curiosity. Replace reaction with reflection. Every morning, ask yourself, who do I choose to become today? And every evening, ask yourself, did my mind lead me, or did I lead my mind? Those two questions, answered honestly each day, can reshape an entire lifetime. Remember this: you don't become mentally strong by avoiding difficult days. You become mentally strong by meeting difficult days with a stronger mind. Because your greatest enemy has never been failure, it has never been criticism, it has never been the opinions of others. Your greatest enemy has always been the belief that you were powerless to change. Today, that belief ends. Today, you stop waiting for the world to transform your life. You begin transforming the one thing that influences every choice, every relationship, every opportunity, and every dream. Your mind. Master your mind, and your habits will change. Master your habits, and your character will change. Master your character, and your life will change. Not overnight, but inevitably. If this story inspired you, don't let it end with this video. Choose one lesson and put it into practice today. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're committed to building a stronger mind through Stoicism, philosophy, psychology, and timeless life lessons, subscribe and join us on this journey, because the greatest victory you will ever achieve isn't over another person. It isn't over the world. It is over yourself. And once you master your mind, no challenge becomes greater than the strength you've built within. Master your mind first. The rest of your life will follow.